in heaven. And the same deception he got the angels with, the same deception that he got Adam and Eve with, the same deceptions that he got the children of Israel with, that he got Babylon with, that he got Media and Persia with, that he got Greece with, that he got Rome with, as the same deception that he's using on these young people today. All right. So before we get into it, let's have a quick word of prayer. Let's wait for you guys to sit down. Does anybody have any friends who are going to college, friends who are thinking about joining fraternities or sororities? All right, great. So then you can bring this information back to them. You can keep it for yourself as well. So please pay close attention. I'm going to try to go quickly through this so that you guys can get back to your fasting and prayer service. I know your pastor is very adamant about that, and that's very, very, very important. All right, so let's bow our heads and close our eyes. Dear God, again, as we come to you in prayer on this Sabbath day, the day that you have set it, you've set aside so that we can spend time with you without any of the problems of the world on our minds, where we can just find rest in you. You said that the person that keeps their mind in you finds perfect peace, and we need that perfect peace to go back into the rest of the week. So, dear God, as we dive into your word, we're asking that the Holy Spirit may fall onto us. We're asking that the righteousness of Jesus Christ may fall on us. Opening up our hearts to accept the message that you are given. I'm asking you that you allow me to be used as a vessel that can be put to good service, for your good service, and that that the Holy Spirit can use me to present a message that will change the life of someone that's going through this issue that I'm about to speak about. In Jesus' name I do pray. Amen. So, why do I do this? The disciples asked Jesus Christ what would be a sign of the last days. And the very first thing that he told them was in Matthew 24, verse 4 was, take heed that no man deceive you. So the last days are going to be filled with deception. And the topic that we're speaking about is a topic that has a lot of deception, and it's something that's clothed, it's Christianity clothed, it's deception clothed with Christianity. Again, why do I do this? In Acts 20, verses 29 to 31, Paul is speaking to the people of the Ephesians, and he's telling them that there are going to be grievous wolves who come into the church. One second. We need the light right here in the front. Oh, no, we need the light in the front because he's recording. There you go. That's cool? Okay, all right. Now, Paul was talking to the Ephesians, and he was telling them that grievous wolves were going to come into the church to pull them away from the message that they were first told, that was first given to them. Now, these grievous wolves, there was a name for them in that time. Those people were called Gnostics. There was a religion called Gnosticism. What they believed that you could take heathenism, and that you can mesh heathenism with Christianity. Has anybody heard of a religion that does that? Any religion that meshes heathenism with Christianity? Rome? What is that system called? Catholicism, or the papacy is an institution that meshes heathenism with Christianity. But in the beginning, there was this group called Gnostics. The Catholic Church the papacy came out of this belief. If you go to the book of Jude, verses 3 and 4, they are told again that they are supposed to stay with the religion that the message that the apostles first gave to them. They were supposed to hold to their first love, which was that message that was given to them that allowed them to have that faith in Jesus Christ. Because again, grievous wolves were going to come in, and what they were going to teach them was that you can still have a relationship with Jesus Christ, but hold on to heathenism. Gnostics believe that I can worship a God, and I can still hold on to the lascivious lifestyle that I had when I was in heathen practices. They believed in certain initiations into their organization that had sexual vice, that had the true meaning of Gnosticism is you take Jesus Christ down and you put Satan in his place. So now Satan is now Jesus, and Jesus is now Satan, and you worship Satan as if he was Jesus. So they're trying to promote to the Ephesians that, listen, Jesus is Satan is this Lucifer is really the God that we're supposed to worship, and the one that was kicked out of heaven was Jesus. And which is why some of us, when you watch movies, you see depictions of the story of Jesus Christ. Like if you watch Transformers. Has anybody seen Transformers? Any of the young people seen Transformers? All right, that's a Gnostic movie. So where were the Transformers fighting? They were fighting against the Decepticons. The Decepticons are supposed to be the evil angels, right? All right. So they're fighting where? In some place in space, right? All right. So does anybody remember when the Autobots were kicked out of their Decepticon place? Where did they fall from? Where did they fall to? They fall like stars from heaven, right? They fell like stars from heaven, right? Who fell like a star from heaven? Satan. So you remember in Transformers 2 when Optimus Prime dies? He died. He stayed for 3 days. He died for 3 days, and when he rose again, he rose more powerful than he was before, right? But it was Satan that fell from heaven. He was Satan, but he's now representing Jesus Christ. That's what Gnosticism does. In the Matrix, Neo was supposed to be Jesus Christ. When he died at the end of the last Matrix, he died like this. Now this Jesus has a problem with God and wants to overthrow God. Now the architect, who's the architect in the Matrix? He's God. Neo had a problem with God. So they switch in movies and televisions. They switch the view of in your mind of who Jesus is and who Satan is, and you're subconsciously being taught to worship Satan as who? God. So that's what Gnosticism is. They take Jesus Christ down and they put Satan in his place. Now we have a Gnostic leader in Rome today. What just happened? I pressed the wrong button. This is Pope Francis. He's known as the Gnostic Pope. Do you know when the Pope takes his throne, he has to pledge allegiance to Lucifer. He has to do certain rites where he has to downgrade Christ. He has to make obscenities to the cross, but yet he's supposed to be representing Jesus. He calls himself Vicarious Filii Dei, which is he's actually calling himself the Holy Spirit, which is unpardonable sin. Once he takes that office, that's it for him. His salvation he's lost. There's no repentance for that sin. So all the popes, they're lost. Now there's a element. Well, the religion that the papacy has is a religion that was found long time ago. But we're going to start from the very beginning and how this started. I'm going to read something about the rise of heathenism from Sister White from the Messages in Revelations. It says, as we near the close of time, there will be a greater and still greater parade of heathen power. Heathen deities will manifest their signal power and will exhibit themselves before the cities of the world, and this delineation has already begun to be fulfilled. By a variety of images, the Lord Jesus represented to John the character and seductive influences of those who have been distinguished for their persecution of God, for their persecution of God's people. All need wisdom carefully to search out the mystery of iniquity that figures so largely in the winding down of earth's history. God's presentation of the detestable works of the inhabitants of the ruling powers of the world who bind themselves into secret societies and confederacies, not honoring the law of God, should enable the people who have the light of truth to keep clear of these evils. So if these organizations you need to keep clear of. More and more will the false religionists of the world manifest their evil doings, for there are but two parties, those who keep the commandments of God and those who are against the God's holy law. So there's only two parties in this. All right, those who keep the commandments and those who are against the commandments. There is no middle ground. There's no gray area between the black and white. If you're on the fence, you're on the other side. So there's only two sides. If you're with God or you're against God. You're observing his laws or you're against his laws. Now there's 5 questions that we have to ask ourselves. Where did this fight against the law begin? Because the secret societies are against the law of God. So it's a fight against the law of God. Number 2, how is the fight associated with fraternities and sororities and other secret societies? Number 3, where did the history of frats and sororities begin, and how are they how do they continue these traditions today? And 4, for a believer seeking to obey God, would a commitment to and devotion to these organizations be an abomination to God? 5, where do I stand with the information that I come through today? So, young lady, when you leave here, you're going to have to process, where do I stand with the information that I've left here with today? All right, so again, there's this great controversy between Satan and God. Now, where did this controversy, what was this controversy about, and where did it originate from? Now, sin was the cause of this great controversy. Where did sin happen? He that committeth sin is of the devil, for the devil sinneth from the beginning. What does that mean? All right, in Genesis 1, verse 1 to 2, it says, in the beginning God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, and the darkness was upon the face of the deep. Now that means that when Satan sinned, the earth wasn't created yet in the beginning. He sinned in the beginning. Sin originated in heaven. So we have a picture of the great controversy. So we want to find out why this fight began. Now we go to Exodus 25 verses 8 to 9 and Exodus 25 verse 40. We see that we have to take a little look of the basics of the sanctuary message to understand this controversy. Now, God told Moses that he wanted the children of Israel, that Moses was supposed to tell the children of Israel to build a sanctuary, a house for God, so that he could dwell with his people. And that this sanctuary was supposed to be made after a certain pattern. We read in Hebrews 9 verses 23 to 24 that this pattern was made after the sanctuary in heaven. So there's a sanctuary in heaven, and God wanted there to be a sanctuary on earth so that he could dwell with his people. And it had to be made off of the design of the sanctuary that was in heaven. Inside as he created the sanctuary, there was a place in the sanctuary called the most holy place. Inside of the most holy place, you found the Ark of the Covenant with a mercy seat on top of it. And that was the place where God dwelt. Now, inside of the Ark of the Covenant, which was under the mercy seat, we have something. There were 3 things that were inside, but the most important thing that we need to focus on right now was the 10 Commandments. The 10 Commandments were in there, the law of God, which means in heaven there is a holy place. So inside, under the mercy seat in heaven, there was 10 Commandments that are inside, that are under there's a law that's under the throne of God. This is a little depiction of the mercy seat that was on earth. And the mercy seat was on top of the Ark of the Covenant. There were 2 golden cherubs that were put on top with their wings outstretched that covered the glory of God. Now remember this image, because this image is going to mean something in about 1 minute. Now this is the mercy seat in heaven, where there are 2 literal cherubs covering the glory of God, which sits upon the mercy seat, which is the throne of God, which is right under it. You have the Ark of the Covenant. Now, the throne of God, which shows his sovereign power and also his mercy. It's called the mercy seat. It shows his mercy, but under it you have the 10 Commandments, which is his law. But it just shows that his mercy is just as high as his law. Now, the cherubs that are standing on top of that mercy seat, they have 3 jobs. 1 is to cover the glory of God with their wings. 2 is to guard the law of God. And 3 is to constantly worship God. Their job is literally cover the glory of God and just worship and guard the law of God. That's what they do. Now, we learn in Ezekiel 28, verse 14 to Ezekiel 28, we learn that Lucifer was one of these covering cherubs. His job was to cover the glory of God, worship God, and to guard the law. But something happens. Iniquity was found in him. Sin was found in him. Now, what is sin? There we go. We have Bible scholars here. In 1 John 3, verse 4, we learn that whosoever committed sin transgresseth also the law, for sin is transgression of the law. So, Lucifer had an issue with the law of God. He went to war against the law of God. And this is what he did. He wanted to be God. He wanted to be worshipped as God. He told that he believed that these laws were keeping him from being God. And he went around and he told the angels, listen, you don't have to keep these laws. These laws were just given as a restriction to keep you under the command of God. But if you break these laws, if you put these laws, if you live however you want to live, if you do what thou wilt, you can be like God. And 1/3 of the angels believed him. They believed that the law was oppression and that they had to break the law to get out of that oppression. So we have, again, he says the law of God isn't just. 2, he said you can be like God without the commandments, which is self-righteousness and the belief that you are God. Because if you don't observe the word of God and you're writing your own, you're going by what you think is right, you're writing your own Bible. You are your own God. That was his concept. Break this law and we can become gods. All right. So we have this battle in heaven that we see in Revelation chapter 12, where Michael and his angels went to war with the dragon and his angels, and Michael and his angels prevailed and they were cast out of heaven. So he caught the 1/3 of these angels with this lie. Now this next move, we go down in history. We see Satan tempting Eve. Now in Genesis 3, verse 4-5, it said, and the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die, for God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as God, knowing good and evil. Is that the same thing that he told the angels? He told them that the law of God is just keeping you. God put this law on you to keep you from being like him, from knowing, from getting this knowledge that will make you a God. What you have to do is break the law. You will receive knowledge, and you will be like God. And this was pleasing to Eve. And Eve broke the law so that she could be like God and that she could get this knowledge. And just like the angels were cast out of heaven, they were cast out of the Garden of Eden. Okay. So now we go down to Satan erected his kingdom. Cain and his descendants went out and they erected their kingdom. Sister White said that these individuals were they were so smart, and they put their mind into science rather than into God, that their sinning got so great to a point that God said they can't. He had to get rid of them. So a flood came and destroyed Satan's kingdom. Sister White also says in Patriarchs and Prophets that Satan was there during this time, and he feared for his life while this was happening. That's how powerful the destruction of the world was, and that's how powerful the destruction of the world is going to be when Jesus Christ comes again. All right, so Satan's first kingdom is gone. He has to build another kingdom. So what he does is he turns to Noah's great-grandson. His name is Nimrod. You can find him in Genesis chapter 10. Nimrod leaves the faith of his fathers and erects a kingdom called Babylon. Now the Bible says that Babylon was the first and great kingdom. There is no other kingdom greater and powerful than Babylon. Now, remember that in Babylon we have Satan needed to have a place to put his throne. He said in Isaiah, he said he wanted his throne to be higher than the stars. He had to find a place to put his throne. Now, understand this. Satan cannot create for himself. So whatever religion that he has created is just a perversion off of God's religion. And what religion did he know not best than the one which he protected, he guarded face to face. So he took that religion that he had learned in heaven and he perverted it. There is nothing that Satan has created. There is nothing new under the sun. It's just a pagan perversion. Now, Nimrod erected this kingdom. He took his mother, married his mother, and they were king and queen of Babylon. Now Nimrod dies. Nimrod's mother, whose name was Semiramis, she wanted to stay in control. She told the people that Nimrod died, and now he lives in the stars and he lives as a god. Now, when I was studying this stuff way back when, that reminded me of all the things that I was watching when I was a little bit younger. Does anybody remember the movie The Lion King? All right, the Lion King is the story of Nimrod and Horus and Semiramis. Mufasa is Nimrod, whose name was turned to Osiris. Semiramis is Mufasa's wife, and Horus is Simba. When who died in the movie? Mufasa dies in the movie. When you see Mufasa, where is he the next time? He's in the stars. That's the same thing Semiramis told her people. That's the same thing Semiramis told her people. When he died, he's now a god, and we worship him in the stars now. Has anybody seen Beyonce's concert, or any of Beyonce's concerts, where she turns into a robot, and then the camera just goes into her left eye, and then it goes into space, and you see all these stars? Yes, that's Osiris worship. The little her makeup stuff, her eyeliner collection, that's Egyptian mysticism. That's why we're told that we have a dress message where we're supposed to stay away from stuff like that. So Nimrod dies. Semiramis says that he's gone into the heavens and he's become a god, and we need to worship him as that. So she needs to have a heir to the throne. Somebody impregnates her. She tells the people that Nimrod's name is now Osiris. They changed his name to Osiris, or Seb, or Set. There's so many different names to these gods, to this one person, which all represents Satan. So she says, somebody impregnated her. She said, Osiris comes down. He came down. He erected an evergreen tree, and he put presents under the tree, and then he impregnated me, and then he went back to the stars. What does that sound like? Okay. And so from then on, the pagans would worship on Christmas, using Christmas trees, and they would put a little triangle on top of the tree, which is the star that people normally put on top of their tree. That's why we have a message that we're not supposed to observe Christmas or do any of that kind of stuff, because it's not about Jesus Christ in any kind of way. Jesus Christ was born between August or October, between that time. So his birthday is not Christmas. So now she has a child. They name the child Horus. They begin to worship the child. They change her name. They change her name to Isis. They changed from Semiramis to Isis. Does anybody remember the children of Israel worshiping a cow in the wilderness? That cow's called Istor, or another name for Istor is Isis. They got it from Egypt. When they were in Egypt, that's what they were worshiping. When they came out, they began worshiping God, and they reverted back to worshiping Isis when they thought that Moses had died. It comes from Babylon. Egypt and Babylon had the same, were like two close-knit kingdoms, and they had the same religion. All right, so now we saw the mercy seat on top of the covenant, on top of the Ark of the Covenant, with the cherubs covering the glory of God. Okay? Now this was Lucifer's job. He used to be one of those cherubs that did that. So now he's saying, I want my own throne. So he erects his own throne, which is the triangle that you see here. Or if you see people on TV going like this, doing this, they're just saying that their God is Lucifer. Now, on the dollar bill, you have the piece where the illuminated tip has not reached the pyramid yet. That means that Satan's kingdom has not come down yet. All right? Has anybody heard a song called "This is the Dawning of the Age of Aquarius"? All right, that song is New Age prophecy saying that Satan's kingdom is coming soon. Now we are in the time of Aquarius, which means that Satan's kingdom has come. So we're living in the last days. We're living in the time where Satan is soon going to bring to fruition the works that he has been setting up. So we see the throne of Satan. Now we've seen the throne of Satan all throughout the world. We just don't know it's the throne of Satan. Now it started in Babylon, where they created the Tower of Babel. The Tower of Babel was supposed to be was a representation of the throne of Satan. It's where all cultures came to worship also. Different languages, different cultures, they came to worship. They were able to worship their own gods. But the gods that they had were it was the same God. It was the same three gods, God the Father, God the Son, and the Mother of God. Remember that. God the Father, God the Son, God, and the Mother of God. Sounds familiar today. So we have pyramids in Babylon. We have pyramids in Egypt. We have pyramids in the Middle East. We have pyramids in Asia. That doesn't make any sense, right? We have pyramids in Asia. We have pyramids. The Aztecs had pyramids. all over the world there are pyramids because when God struck the people who were creating the Tower of Babel confounded their speech with, it's just that people who spoke that whatever language went this way, and people who spoke whatever language went that way, and people who spoke whatever language went that way, and they just took that same religion and they kept practicing it just with their own culture. So if I'm over there in India, I'm worshiping the same gods, I'm just calling it that god Krishna. If I'm in Rome, I'm calling it Apollos. If I'm in Greece, I'm calling it Zeus. If I'm a Catholic, I'm calling it Jesus, with the halo behind the head so that you know it's not the real Jesus Christ. So it's a different, it's the same. Every culture has that. Every culture in paganism has the same religion. It's just different names with different cultures. All right. Now we go towards close towards the end of the kingdom of Babylon. In Daniel 2 verse 1, Nebuchadnezzar has a dream, and he dreams of this statue. Now, Daniel comes and Daniel interprets this dream to him, and Daniel tells him what the dream was, and then in the next chapter you see Nebuchadnezzar builds a statue all of gold, because Daniel said that his kingdom was the head of gold, but that kingdom would end. And Nebuchadnezzar built a statue with the same defiance, saying that this kingdom was not going to end. Does anybody know of an award that resembles this? The Oscar, yes, the Oscar. The Oscar is the same thing. The Oscar is the same thing. Now, remember when the three Hebrew boys, where they were told to bow? What happened before they were to bow? Music was to play, then they were to worship. Yes. When the results come in for the Oscar, what happens? The music, and then everybody begins to worship. So we still have the same kind of idolatry today, just in a different form where you're not able to pick it up. Satan's devices have never changed. He's not that smart. Even though he is one of the most intelligent created beings, he's not that smart where he can create something else. He's smart enough to make it so subtle to you that you won't even be able to pick it up. There was even an award show where one of the people giving their awards told all the people in the audience to bow before their god Babylon. Okay, so we know. So now, Daniel explained this vision to him, which the head of gold was Babylon. The silver was the Medes and Persians. The brass was to represent Greece. The iron was supposed to represent Rome, and the iron mixed with miry clay was still Rome, but just Rome as a religious and political power, the only religious and political power that the world has ever seen. Now, each kingdom ruled the world at a certain point in time in history. Now, at the feet, we have Papal Rome. Papal Rome rules the world today. I don't care if you believe that America is the most strongest place in the world. No president has ever been more powerful than the Pope. Actually, the president has to go and get his orders. The Black Pope is actually the most powerful. The Black Pope gives the orders to the Pope. The Pope gives the orders to the president. Does anybody know that the America is one of the beasts that are going to lead everyone to follow after Rome? Do you know why that's why we've gone into the Middle East and killed off all the leaders? So that we can establish a certain kind of democracy in there where all those lands will be united, so that when we push our effort, they will listen. Did you know that Gaddafi and all those people, they didn't want to get in line with us, with them? That's why they were killed? Okay, so we see that America is setting up things to bring to fruition Satan's plan. So again, let's not look at Washington. It's nice to have a black president, but he's not here to do our bidding. You give whatever you need to give to Rome, but you keep the laws of God, just like how Jesus told the people that he was speaking to. So again, don't get crazy over Obama. He's still here to do. He's still here for a purpose, and that purpose is not going to be good for you. Okay. Keep your eyes in the Bible. All right. So what happened with these individuals? When the Medes and Persians, took captive the Babylonians and took over their kingdom. When they took over the kingdom, they just took they said, oh man, look at what their gods have given these people. Because their kingdom was made out of pure gold. It was made out of pure gold. It said, let's take these people's gods, because their gods have made them so great, this kingdom so great, and we're going to worship these gods. They just gave them Medo-Persian names. So it's not Seb, Set, and Semiramis anymore. They changed it to Medo-Persian names. Now, Greece comes after that. Alexander the Great, he wipes out all black history. He goes into Egypt, he goes into Babylon, he takes the Medo-Persians, he wipes out all black history, takes everything that they created, and says, we did this. So they took all the secret knowledge that they had. Well, actually, Babylon was of secret societies. Black people were the creators of secret societies. That's not anything good to, it's not anything good to say, but black people are the creators of secret societies. Now we're going to see how contradictory that is now today when it comes to fraternities and sororities and secret societies. So Alexander the Great comes, he takes this secret society system, and he takes all we created the mathematics, we created reading and writing, we created all this. And if you want to get this knowledge, you have to come to who? You have to come to us to get this knowledge. So then Rome, the Grecians, they had a whole lot of fighting and turmoil within them. Their kingdom wears out. The Romans come in, they take over. All right, Rome wasn't defeated by anybody. Rome still stands today. It's just that a transfer of power went from just a political to a religious political power. All right. Now, what God told the children of Israel, what they did was something that God warned the children of Israel against. When the children of Israel were to go into Canaan and to wipe out all the heathens, they weren't supposed to go in there and destroy them and say, oh man, look at what all these people who worship other gods, look what their gods gave them. Let's worship their gods. God said, no. When you go in there, you destroy the people, you destroy their gods, you destroy their idols. You don't pick up their gods, you serve me, because I came in here and I destroyed everything. I'm the one that brought you out of Egypt. I'm the one that gave you this land. Those gods did nothing for you. Don't do that. These guys, they did the opposite of that. They saw these gods and they said, oh man, let's worship these gods. So that religion that was created in Babylon, that Satan erected in Babylon, still lasts today in Rome. And that's the religion that's ruling this world at the very moment. Now what you're looking at right here is the Istar Gate. Now there's certain, this is the entrance into Babylon. Now there's certain symbols on here which are, remember this symbol as well. This is a lion with wings on it. It's not the griffin. It's not the griffin. Remember that symbol. This is the god that guarded Babylon, which the secret societies were created in. Now, again, the Medo-Persians took over, destroyed the Babylonians and took over. Now the Grecians came in and destroyed the Medo-Persians. They went into Egypt. They took over all the Egyptian culture. Alexander the Great went even as far as to call himself HORUS. He called himself Christ. He believed that he was a god. Now this is something that's going to continue, that you're going to continue to see in secret societies and even fraternities and sororities. The people there believe that they're gods. He received some kind of secret knowledge, and this secret knowledge that he found in Egypt and in Babylon made him a god. So he began to call himself HORUS, and everyone had to worship him as if he was HORUS. So Rome comes into place after that. Then when Rome fizzles out, we have papal Rome. We have the transfer of power. All right. Now, Rome, the Pope, the papacy, is just the religion of Babylon. Now, on the first picture, you see a Babylonian priest. In the second picture, you see a Roman priest. Now, what is the Pope's official name? He's a pontiff, Pontifex Maximus. The Babylonian priests were called pontiffs. Now, what happened was when Babylon was taken over, the priests ran away, and they ran to a place where they made their own little small kind of kingdom community where they continued to practice. Now, the king of Rome came, and he said, listen, he came to destroy them because there's only one God. And the king of Rome believed that himself to be a god. There's only one God. There's only one religion. You can't continue professing this religion. The pontiff said, I will give you my title and my crown, or my mitre. And he gave it to him. Now, as the time goes down, the king of Rome gave his seat and his authority to the Pope and gave his mitre to the Pope. Now the Pope is called the pontiff. And what he does is he just takes the clothing and the robes and the vestments that the Babylonian priest has, and he wears it because it's the same religion. Their religion was sun worship. That is the religion right there. That up there, the IHS that you see in many churches is Isis, Horus, Seb, God the Father, God the Son, and God the Mother of God. Okay? All right, so that little circle with the spikes in it, that represents the sun, because it's sun worship. They worship the sun as if it was God. All right, so we see in Babylon and Assyria, we see a picture of Isis and Horus. In Egypt, in the middle, we see a picture of Isis and Horus. And in the Catholic Church, we see a picture of Mary and Jesus, which is just another representation of Isis and Horus. And you can always get that picture because you can always understand the difference because there will always be a halo behind their heads. Has anybody ever read of a halo in the Bible? No? Okay. All right, so, all right. Now, Papal Rome as the beast power. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were like the feet of a bear, and his mouth was like the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. All right, let's go back to Babylon. Let's go back to the image. Now, Babylon was represented, these civilizations were represented by beasts. Babylon was the lion. Medo-Persia was represented as a bear. Greece was represented as a leopard. Now, what we're reading in Revelation 13 verse 2 is saying that this beast power has taken all of these beasts and made one conglomerate beast. He's taken the lion, the bear, and the leopard and made one beast, which is he's taken the religion of Babylon, Medo-Persia, and Greece, and he's made one great religion off of that false belief. And the dragon has given him his power and his seat. Who is the dragon? Satan. Okay. So here we have a picture on the left side. You see a picture of a beast, which is a lion that has the face of a lion, the body of a bear, the face of a lion, the body of a leopard, the legs of a lion. And if you don't see it, he has a tongue out, and his tongue is like a serpent's tongue. Okay. Has anybody seen the Express logo? The Express logo, the Express clothing. You ever seen the Express logo? Oh, it makes sense now? Yeah. Yeah, that's it. That's where it comes from. Yeah, that's where it comes from. Which is why we have a dress reform message that we all should uphold to. Older folks, if you don't know about it, there are a lot of clothing lines that are out there that the people who are in charge of it, they're following the loose. Exactly, which is which is why we have a dress reform message that we should adhere to, which we get flack when people speak about it. Again, does anybody know? Have anybody seen the symbol before? All right. Now, again, Babylon still lives today. On that left side, we have the lion with the face of a lion, the body of a leopard, the feet of a bear. This is a Christian broadcasting network. But they're there to present a kind of falsehood because they're following after this system. Actually, the people behind this are involved in secret societies as well, which is why this stuff is very dangerous, which is why this stuff is very pertinent to our soul salvation. Actually, in the middle with the cross, with the sun, with the circle in it, that's the sun with put together with the cross, which is heathenism mixed with Christianity. Okay, and that is just that cross with the dove coming down with the circle in it is also. Has anybody heard of Aleister Crowley? Yes, he has a secret society. Also, he created a secret society, and that is the symbol for his secret society, and it's pure Satanist. It's not. You can't even say Luciferianism. It's purely. It's a Satanist organization. Okay, so the dragon gave him his power, right? In the Vatican, you have pictures and images of dragons all over the place because the dragon gave him his power. Okay, now these are just secret societies, and all these people always give you identifying marks to see who it is that they are. It's just that we don't read the Bible to find out what those identifying marks are. If you read the Bible, you would understand that that Express logo is a representation of the beast power. If you would read the Bible, you see that the rock-wear clothing is as a representation of those demonic symbols. When you put these things on, certain things happen to you. Has anybody heard the story of Achan? Young people, any of you heard the story of Achan? He went into Babylon and he took some clothing. Yes, Achan, yeah, he took some clothing and he wasn't supposed to, and it caused them to lose the battle because it brought in a demonic presence into their camp, and they lost a battle that they were fighting. And what happened to him is him and his entire family, not just him, not just his immediate family, but his entire family was destroyed. Why? Because he went after something that was out in the world, clothing of the world, where we have a dress message which we're supposed to be dressing so that the world can see that they need to change themselves also. But when we dress like the world, they look at the church and they say that, why would I come to the church for when you guys act like the people on the outside? So I'm just going to, why come to the church for? All right. So again, we're going to see a picture of who the beast is, which is the papacy. And it says in Revelation 17, verse 4 to 5, and the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of all harlots and abominations of the earth. Now, this institution is called Babylon the Great. Not called Babylon, it's called Babylon the Great. So Babylon still lives today in this institution that runs the world today. Now, this is why I love the Bible, because the Bible is true. When I read Daniel, I saw the world's history. When I was in college, I started doing art history. And I started studying about the Babylonians. I started studying about the Assyrian culture, the Grecian culture, the Roman culture. And I was like, man, all this stuff is in the Bible. So, and I began to see that the Bible is true. So this was spoken about many years ago before any of this stuff was created, which is why I can tell people, hey, the Bible is true. Look at this. This stuff was created long ago before it was true. Now, that's one of the popes, I forgot what his name was. On the back of it, you see a god of their a God that the papacy has. Now, who's the God that the papacy say that they worship? They worship the true God, which is God, which is what they say. But they have a God over the church, and that God's name is Fides. Now, in Revelation 17, we're told that this God would be decked in scarlet color, covered in gold, and have a cup full with her fornication. Here, we see the God Fides. She's decked in gold. She has a cup, and in the cup is the sun. That's the worship. That's the filthiness of her fornication. So we see who the woman is. We see the identifying marks to who the beast is. Has anybody heard of Fidelis Bank? Yes. Fidelis Bank is a bank that's run by the papacy as well. These secret societies run the banking institutions, which is why you will not be able to buy nor sell when the time comes. Has anybody seen that all the banks were closing and that the major banks were buying out those other banks? Chase is getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. All right, J.P. Morgan is in these secret societies, and their purpose. When Obama was giving out the bailouts, and everybody was happy, man, he's giving out bailouts, right? You know what I was doing? You know what the Federal Reserve is? It's not a federal bank. It's a private bank owned by the richest people in the world that are in these secret societies. And what they do is the Federal Reserve is giving America this money which they can't pay back to buy up land that was foreclosing. These foreclosures were planned that were foreclosing, and the businesses that were going out of business. So the Federal Reserve buys this land, buys these businesses. So now they're owned. When the business was bailed out, the Federal Reserve owns the business now. So all these institutions are owned by these secret societies. All these homes, all this land is owned by these secret societies. What are you going to buy? What are you going to sell? They own the banks, they own the property, they own the businesses. Where are you going to buy? Where are you going to sell? Do you know that we're being conditioned to get off of using paper money? Have you ever seen the commercials, or the Chase commercials, or the Visa commercials, where people are in the lunchroom and they're dancing and they're swiping their Chase card, and then the one poor guy comes with a dollar bill, and then everything just stops. And everybody looks at him like, and then when he's gone, everybody goes back to doing backflips and swiping their cards, because you're being conditioned to get off of paper money, so that you can put everything electronically, so that everything can be handled electronically, so that it can be shut down. Has anybody seen a card where there's a card where you can put your credit cards, your driver's license, everything on one card? That's what we're being pushed to, so that our information can be held in one place where if they need to shut it down, if you don't accept their message, they can just cut you out like that. We all go crazy over the telephones that the telephones and the electronic devices that we get. You know, when it's time for you to run and you run with these devices, you can't, they'll find you. Do you know why? That's why Job was, not Job, Lot was told to drop everything and run, just leave and run. That's why when Rome came to destroy Jerusalem, they were told to get up and leave everything and run. So when we get all these big mega TVs that have cameras inside it that they can watch us without us watching it, we got to go out and get the 50-inch screen, ultra plasma, laser disc, whatever screen, and they can listen to you and watch you. And you take your phone, even if you turn your phone off, they can listen to whatever it is you're saying. You go on Facebook and you write all you write whatever on Facebook. And then I'm a Christian, I'm going to stand for God, and they put you on trial, and they pull up all the information that you did on Facebook, and they say, oh, you're a true Christian, no, you're a terrorist. You're not a Christian. You're not an Adventist. When you say, I'm an Adventist and I hold to these beliefs, I can't follow the beliefs of the new world, of the new world, because it goes against my beliefs. They're going to be like, oh, this is what a Christian was like? This is the beliefs that you have? No. What you're trying to do is you're trying to make God angry with us. Do you know when catastrophe happens, that they blame it on people not worshiping as they should on Sunday? When it happened in New Orleans, the mayor of New Orleans said that we need to start worshiping on Sunday again. God is angry. That's what they blame it on. So if you're saying we need to worship on the Sabbath, and they're saying we're getting all these calamities and terrorist attacks and all this stuff because we're not worshiping, you know that when that happened, the Pope shut down all sporting events on Sunday and said everybody go to church, and everybody went to church. But we're watching LeBron James, and we're watching whatever Dancing with the Stars or whatever there might be that's on right now. We don't see those things happening. We don't see what's going on. So again, you need to act as an Adventist, so when the time comes, you can truthfully, and we don't even know what it is that we believe. You come right here. Come here. Yeah, no. You in the green tie. Yeah, you. Come here. Green tie. Yeah, green tie. Come. Quick. Hurry up. Acts 4. Three out of the four didn't know that. What's the fourth commandment, everybody? All right, and we're Adventists. We're Adventists. So we don't know what it is that we believe, so that when we are when these things happen, we won't even be able to stand for what it is that we believe if we don't have a foundation of our faith. Hold on. If there's no foundation to our faith, then we're not even going to be put in that situation. We're going to just accept whatever comes what may. So that's why when these kids go to school and these people say, hey, these things are grounded on Christian beliefs, you can come back over here. I'm sorry for embarrassing you guys. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry, man. Come on, man. Come back. Come on, man. Go back. Come back with your friends, man. They don't want to take the walk of shame. Oh, man, I apologize. I didn't mean to pick on you. But yeah, when they go to college and they don't have anything to base the foundation of their faith on, they're taken away by anything. So back to what I was saying. Yes, so they have a God over them. The God is Fides. Now, Satan can be worshipped in male or female form. Satan can be worshipped in male and female form, and we're going to see that to be true. Now, Freemasons have the same belief, because Freemasonry is, the head of Freemasonry is the papacy. Now, it says in the book Masonic and Occult Symbols, they said that the right hand has in all ages been deemed an emblem of fidelity and our ancient brethren, worship deity under the name of Fides, or fidelity, which was sometimes represented by two right hands joined and something by two human figures holding each other by the right hands. Now, when they do their claps, their Masonic handshakes, that's just another symbolism of the God that they represent, and also showing what level that it is that they're on, of Masonry they're on. Numa was the first who erected an altar to Fides under which the goddess of oaths and honesty was worshipped. Now, the oaths that they take are to this God. Now, remember, I said that Satan can be worshipped in male or female form, right? Okay. So, who's the God of Freemasonry? Satan. You know the Bible tells you who the God of Freemasonry is, without a shadow of a doubt? We'll get to that. All right, so the first set of Freemasonry that the papacy put out was the Knights Templars. Now, this is in Jerusalem. The Knights Templars they were fighting the Holy Land and blah, 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 which is not the truth there. In Jerusalem, you have a little sanctuary for the Knights Templars, a little meeting place. Up there is a Rosicrucian cross. Now, that cross goes back to Egypt. It was for the priests of Horus worship. Now, who's the high priest? Who's the high priest of Horus today? The Pope. The Pope wears a Rosicrucian cross on the neck of his sleeve. He's the priest he's the high priest of Horus today. Now, inside the temple of the Knights Templars, we see over an altar a triangle with the sun in the middle of it, which is the sign that's on the back of your dollar bill, the triangle with the eye coming through it. Also, you have a double-headed eagle, which represents the knowledge of good and evil, which is the yin and the yang. See, and you see how this religion goes into all cultures. The Asians have the yin and the yang, believe in the yin and the yang. They have a knowledge of good and evil. They believe in the knowledge of good and evil. And there's also a dragon that's in that crest, which is the one that gives them the knowledge. Now, does anybody have an image of? Yeah. Say that again. Albanian symbol. It's in a whole bunch of cultures because the religion spans the whole world. It spans different cultures, but that is the meaning of it: the knowledge of good and evil. And that knowledge of good and evil makes you a god. With this, the double eagle. One side is the knowledge of good, and one side is the knowledge of evil. Also, it's a representation of the American bald eagle, the feathers that are on the sides and at the bottom. I forgot the representation of it, but it is demonic. So if you look in the dollar bill, there's an eagle with feathers going out. Yes, it comes from this as well. And there is a dragon in there, which is where they get the power from. Does anybody know what this symbol might represent? This is another symbol that comes from the Knights Templars. Now, this thing goes into religions. This thing goes into now at this moment, Caucasians own this religion, own this secret societies, and as we go down, they're going to bring black people in, which is why we get to the black fraternities and sororities, which is just the entrance into Masonry. Now, you see Eddie Long's symbol. You have it's the same symbol as that up there. You see the symbol inside the change thing for Obama? Oh, okay. All right. Now, he is, Eddie Long is in, I believe, the Knights of Malta. He's a Freemason. In the Sunday church, a high percentage of these pastors are Freemasons, and for them to get these positions, they are, all right, in the white side, there's a white side to the Sunday church and there's a black side to the Sunday church. Just as there's a white side to Freemasonry, as there's a black side to Freemasonry. The Sunday church is just purely Masonic. I'm sorry if there's any Sunday church people here, but I'm trying to get through it as quickly as possible. Billy Graham is the high priest. Benny Hinn and Billy Graham are the high ups. All right, that's why Billy Graham he's always wearing white. Yes, he's always wearing white. Has anybody seen the video of Billy Graham and people just falling out? Yeah, purely demonic. what they do is the white people in Freemasonry put the black guys on. And the black people, what they do is they have to sell out their own people to fall in line with the white people's system. So they have to sell out, and they sell out for knowledge, and they sell out for money. So we have all these black people following after, and you have all these people preaching, give a blessing, if you want your blessing, give some money. And then you have Creflo Dollar dancing on the money in front of the church, and people are just throwing their money, but they're not getting a blessing from it, and then they're saying, you know what, God doesn't love me, and then they leave the church. But these people have 30,000 people as the members of their churches. Now, it makes them money, and then that money goes back to the other side, and it makes those guys money, which is why they can get planes with gold-plated toilet seats and sinks and travel all over the world. Okay, so again, this represents the knowledge of good and evil. That symbol represents the knowledge of good and evil that was given by the dragon. It's called the dragon's eye. That's what it represents. Now, there is two doctrines in Freemasonry. There are two doctrines in Freemasonry, which is why if you go to a Freemason or you go to a person that's in a fraternity or a sorority and you tell them, this is not of God, it's of the devil, they say, you don't know what you're talking about. I know what I'm talking about because I'm in it, but they don't know what they're talking about either because the truth wasn't given to them because there's two doctrines. Now, the Templars, it says in Morals and Dogma, a Masonic book that explains Masonry, it says, the Templars, like all other secret societies and associations, all secret societies, all associations, fraternities and sororities included, which they are secret societies, had two doctrines. One concealed and reserved for the masters, which was Johannism. Johannism is Luciferianism. So the people who are on the higher heights, they know what it is that they're practicing. Now the people who are below, it says the other public, which was the Roman Catholic, the other which was made public was the Roman Catholic, which is Christianity, which is why people go out and say, hey, fraternities and sororities are a Christian institution, come join us. But you come in, and they start brainwashing you, but you're being brainwashed off the belief that I'm worshiping Jesus Christ, but you're not knowing that it's Satan. And then as you go to the higher heights, you're so deep into it that when you realize it's Luciferianism, your mind is already set. You're staying. You're not getting out. I did a program like this 4 or 5 years ago at a Sunday church on Jamaica Avenue in Queens. And I'm talking about this. I've never come face to face with the Mason before in my life. I'm talking about this. And there's a guy sitting in the back with his hands crossed. He's like, yeah, all right. And then so the people started to ridicule me and laugh. So this guy gets up and he's like, yeah, hey guys, the brother's saying it's true. I'm a third level Mason. But I got out of it because I realized what it truly was. The man went so far as to say that he possibly killed somebody for sneaking into a lodge when they were doing a high level initiation, and I was scared for my life after that. Okay, now the Templars, we see that Satan is their God, right? But they're running off of the illusion that they're Christian. Now, the Templar, the King of France in 1307 realized what it was that they were doing. And he, on Friday the 13th, he arrested all the Templars and he made a judgment that they were to be put to death. And the reasons being so is because they were indulging in Baphomet worship, and their initiations were the initiations of the Gnostic belief, which is, again, the Gnostic belief is what? Jesus Christ is Satan, and Satan is? Okay. So, these are the reasons why he had them arrested. One, they had to be initiated, they had to insult the cross, they had to deny Jesus Christ as God, and they had to commit gross obscenities. Now, when the Gnostics came to the church, what did they do? They were involved in gross obscenities, telling the people in the church that they could still have partake in some weird sexual behavior that they were used to do in heathenism and still worship God, and still worship Christ, which was really Lucifer, who they were worshiping. This is what Paul was warning the church about, and this is what I'm warning you about today. The adoration of an idol, which was said to be God, which is Baphomet, and the unauthorization of unnatural vices, which is their initiation had so many unnatural vices, it turns into homosexuality. It actually is homosexuality. Now, there was I was watching a DVD that Brother Mark gave me, and one of the individuals was talking about his initiation into a sect of Masonry, and he didn't know that they worship Baphomet. So he goes up and they say curtain. He goes behind the curtain. He sees Baphomet. Does anybody know who Baphomet is? All right, Baphomet is a goat-faced male-female idol. It represents another representation of Satan. I told you Satan can be represented as male and female, so it doesn't matter. That's why the idol is has male parts and female parts. Now, if you study the yes. Baphomet. We're going to get to that when we get to fraternities and sororities. We're getting there. We're getting there soon. Now, does anybody, if you sit and study the sanctuary message, you would understand that on the Day of Atonement, there was a goat that they would take and put the sins on and send them into the wilderness, right? All right, that's what it represents. All right, so if we study the Bible, we'd be able to see all these things. When we look at TV, I remember when I sat down and I started reading the Bible, and I'm like, man, all the stuff that I've seen in music videos, all the things I've seen in TV, all the things I've seen in movies, this is it right here. There's something a change that needs to be made. So this is why they were destroyed. Now, somebody had to come and take that place. Ignatius Loyola had created an organization called the Jesuits. Ignatius wanted to be Jesus Christ. Oh, sorry, I missed something. See that with that guy over there, the initiation right there? All right. There's a reason why he has his leg up and his foot is out of his shoe, stepping on the heel of his shoe, which leaves his heel exposed. Now, his heel is exposed so that the serpent, because the serpent is supposed to what? Attack his heel, and Jesus Christ would crush, so they're saying that they're Christ. That's the initiation. Denounce Christ, I've seen Jesus Christ, I am God. That's the whole thing. Now they're going to get that knowledge. I destroyed the law. I throw out the law of God. I'm now God. Now I'm receiving all this knowledge. Now I'm in this institution. So they're put away with. The Knights Templars are put away with. Somebody has to take the place of the Knights Templars. Ignatius Loyola in the 1500s, he was a general. He got injured in battle. So he's sitting at home and he's reading all these books about Jesus Christ. He's so fascinated with Jesus Christ that he wants to be Jesus Christ. He goes to a cave to sit down to ponder how he's going to make this religion. While he's in this cave, he came down with a fever. He had delusions of an angel coming to speak to him about creating an organization. Also, he saw a demon, and for a couple of days he was running around trying to beat the demon with a stick. He comes out of the cave, goes back home. He creates this organization called the Jesuits. He goes to all the major universities in Europe. Where did he go to? All the major universities in Europe to get the brightest minds to join his organization. Where does Satan go to today to get our young people? To their colleges, to get them into these organizations. He went to all the biggest universities to get the brightest philosophers, the greatest minds that he could get into his organization. Now, the papacy didn't like another institution working without them, so they put Ignatius into jail until he broke his will and he joined the papacy. So they put him in jail for a period of time. He broke his will, and then he joined the papacy. He did this initiation right here, which says that he's Jesus Christ. Now, the Jesuits became an order, order like the Knights Templars. Do you know that these individuals are the ones that run the banks? They're the ones that run the banks. They're the ones that control all our monies. So if you see a Jesuit, be nice to him. Now, I was thinking, who was another individual that was put into jail and then they broke his will? They broke his will, and then as soon as he gets out of jail, he joins into an organization. The very few weeks later, he joins an organization, and now is being led by that organization. Who is that? Who's that up there? Who's that up there? This is why we're not supposed to worship men. because men fail us. And now our hearts are broken, and now we don't know what to do with ourselves because Nelson Mandela tricked us. This is why you're not supposed to worship men. This is why you're not supposed to put all your faith into your pastor, because your pastor is a man. Your pastor falls, you fall. I can't, man, my pastor fell. Oh my goodness, I can't do this anymore. I'm not even going to church anymore. This is why we're not supposed to put our faith in men. Now, black people weren't supposed to be in these organizations. Black people weren't meant to be in these organizations. We'll see how they got into it. But again, they had to sell out. Nelson Mandela had to leave his beliefs. Do you know that his prison number changed miraculously to represent 666? His prison number was 46466. Then it was changed to 46664. Do you know that Nelson Mandela had a program where, AIDS program, where he was manifesting the number of the beast? Where the program was his prison number, and everybody was putting up their hands with bracelets with his prison number with 4664 on it and said, "It's in our hand." It's in our hand. 466 is the number of the beast, and the beast has a mark, right? And where is that mark placed? In your forehead, which represents your belief, and in your hand, which represents your works. So it says, it's in our hands. He had to give up and sell out his people and fall from whatever it was that he was fighting for, fall to their lead. So what we think we know, we don't really know. I don't know about her. She's probably an Eastern Star. Do you know what an Eastern Star is? It's the female side of Masonry. Michelle Obama's an Eastern Star, which is why you see her throwing up the Baphomet hand sign all the time. What'd you say? I'll show it to you. Say that again? I'll show it to you up there. I don't want to do it myself. Okay, so again, a little something. Don't worship men. Put your faith in Jesus Christ solely and completely. Okay, take your eyes out of Washington. Now, today we still have that same practice where initiates would go around to all these different universities to get these kids. In America, we have all these Jesuit universities. We have a Jesuit university in the Bronx, Fordham. We have a Jesuit university in Manhattan, Fordham. Yale University is a Jesuit university, which is the organization where Skull and Bones comes out of. Secret societies came out of and fraternities came out of the Jesuits. Now, it began with the white fraternities, which was the Skull and Bones. So in all these universities, they're all Jesuited universities. They all have frats and sororities. They're all based off the same principles. Satanism. My fiance went to Fordham University, and they kept trying to change her belief in her religion. They kept trying. There was a class that she would take, or religion class that she would take, and she refused to when she took the tests, she refused to answer the way that they wanted her to answer. So they made her take it 3 times. But God be the glory, she stayed in her words, and she was able to see the difference between right and wrong. So it didn't affect her. Now their symbol of Fordham University is the ram's head, which is really a goat's face. So you can see their symbols today. Now, these knights still live today. They're the bankers. They're the bankers, the world's bankers. And their leader is who? The Pope. They still wear the same attire. They still have the Rosicrucian cross. So this is how this whole system breaks down. It begins in Babylon. From Babylon, the religion goes to creates Kabbalism. Kabbalism was when the Jews mixed Judaism with spiritualism. Out of that, we have Gnosticism. Gnosticism, when the Gnostics tried to come into the Christian church and try to bring the people into this Luciferian belief. And Paul and James are trying to fight to get them to stay in the belief that the first have, which is why in Revelation 12, Jesus Christ told Revelations 2, Jesus Christ told to John to speak to the Ephesians, I have something against you because you left your first love. They left the belief that they first had and went to something else, and he was telling them to come back. Now our children are leaving here and leaving the faith that they first had, that the parents first gave to them, and going to something else. You don't want God to have something against you for leaving your first love. From Gnosticism, we have the Templars. And when Templars fizzled out, we have the... Has anybody seen the game Assassin's Creed? Do you know that's real? Do you know that's real? You know that's real? That's the Assassins and the Templars were really fighting against each other, but both sides are Masonic. The Assassin's Creed is a video game, by the way. Yeah, it's the story. It's a story based off of true events. The Assassins did fight against the Templars, and when the Templars fizzled out, we have the Jesuits. The Jesuits opened up to a wide range of Masonry, the Illuminati, Rhodes Scholars, Knights of Malta, Knights of Columbus. Now, the Knights of Columbus is the most important one that we're going to take a look at. Now, Knights of Columbus, just pay attention to me, and this really quick. In 1863, the group, the Knights of the Golden Circle, was reorganized as the Order of the American Knights, and again, the following year, as the Order of the Sons of Liberty. Its membership then was estimated between 200,000 and 300,000. After the Civil War, it went further underground, and remnants eventually emerged as the Ku Klux Klan. So, this organization was now called the Ku Klux Klan, but it's not the Ku Klux Klan that you know today. The Ku Klux Klan that you know are people who put white sheets over their head and went around killing black people. That's not the Knights of the Knights of the Golden Circle. The Knights of the Golden Circle was they were actually against that Ku Klux Klan. There was an agenda that they were trying to push, which was the New World Order. Now, the Knights of the Golden Circle had nine factions. And where did they get this belief of 9 factions from? It came from Egypt, from Babylon. The Egyptians believed in a family of 9 gods. This family became known as the Great Ennead, from the Greek word Ennead meaning 9. The 9 gods of the Greek Ennead were Atum, Shu, and Tafnut, Geb, Nut, Osiris, Isis, Nephthys, and Horus. The cardinal number is the sum of 8 and 1. Now, is there any black organization that has a group of 9? What'd you say? All right, there's the Black Fraternity is their organization. There's 9 organizations based off of this same concept, 9 branches. The famous black organizations, there's 9 of them. And it comes off of this concept. Okay. Now, how did black people get involved into this? Do you know that there were black members of the Ku Klux Klan? Did you know that? It sounds weird, right? There's black people in the Ku Klux Klan? Well, it's true. This comes from their mouth, their own mouth. This is the book Jesse James and the Lost Cause. It says that it was right there at this point that we decided then and there we would join the secret military police system of the old Southland. This organization was the original Ku Klux Klan. Some of us were already members of the Knights of the Golden Circle. A brand new idea came into being since our faithful Negro cooks had become tender, had helped us without fear. We elected to include into the Ku Klux Klan as many trusted Negroes as we could gather around us. So, believe it or not, in time we had enlisted and trained nearly 20,000 Negro KKKs into our police system. So, the Negroes, could police and supervise their own race of people, thus freeing us from the more dangerous and critical details in dealing with the renegade whites and those lousy carpetbaggers. The carpetbaggers were the Ku Klux Klan that we know today that put the sheets over their head, the carpets over their head, and were not killing black people. Okay, so we have, yes? Okay, but he was black. He probably had knowledge that we don't have. So, again, this is just going on to show that there are black members in the KKK, more documentation. Now, this guy, his name is Prince Hall. So, Prince Hall he was one of the first blacks that was allowed to enter into Masonic Lodge. Now, when that lodge fizzled out, he was given his own lodge under another lodge name. Now, it was unheard of that a black man could have a lodge. After a certain amount of time, after 20 years, he was able to get his own lodge with his own name, and this lodge's name was called the Prince Hall Freemasons, and it was for African Americans. The first time African Americans were able to have their own secret society. Okay? Now again, who is the God of Masonry? Who's the God of Masonry? Can we all say it together? Who's the God of Masonry? Okay, Satan's the God of Masonry. All right. So, these Prince Hall Freemasons, that as we go down in time, or we're coming down to where we are at now, five principal Prince Hall Freemasons. Well, has anybody in the 1800s, has anybody ever heard of a black person owning a business or being in politics or being, no? Well, the people that were in these organizations, they were able to own land. They were able to be in politics. They were judges. A black judge in the time of, in these times is unheard of. They're able to own businesses. It's unheard of. But they have the protection of this society. Because why? They gave up their people. They sold out. They went into these organizations, and then they go back and they tell their people what to do. They get their message from these guys, and they go back and tell their people what to do. We're going to see how that affects us today. Now, these five guys are five prominent members of Prince Hall Freemasonry. Two of them are prominent members of Prince Hall Freemasonry. They created the first black fraternity called the Bowl. All right, so we have Henry Minton, Algerian B. Jackson, Edwin C. Howard, Eugene T. Hinson, Richard J. Warwick, and Robert J. Aberley. And you can go home and research these people and find out what it is that they did. Now, Minton, it says that why they created the Bowl. It said Minton wanted to create an organization which would partake in the tenets of the Skull and Bones at Yale. Now, like I told you, how the Jesuits have their colleges. Yale is one of those colleges. There was a secret society formed by there's a fraternity that was created by the secret society so that they could get the young people out and then move them up into Freemasonry when they evolve. George Bush. George Bush is a Skull and Bone. He left Yale. Now he's in the Illuminati. John Kerry, Skull and Bone. Now he's out. Now he's into the Freemasonry. It's a stepping stone into Freemasonry. So they wanted this fraternity, this black fraternity, to be the same as the Skull and Bone fraternity that they had. Has anybody seen the Skull and Bone? Is like the skull with the two crosses under the head. All right. Okay. Yes. Yes. There's a few that were not, but yes. And the ones that went against them were assassinated. Except for one. I forgot his name, but one got away, and on his deathbed he said that the Jesuits didn't get me. Any other questions? Okay. All right. Say that again. Kennedy, he went against the banks. What else did he go against? Him and Abraham Lincoln went against the banks, and they actually spoke out against. He said that there's a famous speech he had on television where he said that there's secret societies out there that are trying to do us harm, and that he was going to stand up against them. And what happened? Lincoln, the same thing. When Lincoln was a lawyer, Lincoln defended a man who the Jesuits were trying to put in jail, and he actually exposed the Jesuits, and they made a death sentence for him from that day. So, and he also fought against, there was a banking system that they were trying to create, which is the banking system that we have now, which Lincoln was fighting against because he's saying it's not legal. Federal Reserve is not legal. It's not a federal bank. And it's just something that they have to put into place so that Satan's mission can come to fruition. So he fought against it. And what happened to him? Boom, he's done. So his brother, Kennedy's brother, the same thing. What happened to him? Boom, you're done. So, which is why we have the president that we have now, because we're so happy about a black president that anything he says we'll just follow. The whole world will follow. Okay, so this is why they created the Bowl. They wanted to make a bowl off of the same pagan organization that was in the Skull and Bones, which they also are. They're going to use the same principles. They're also worshiping Satan as well. They're also into Luciferian worship as well. Now, what does the word bowl mean? In the cities of ancient Greece, now this is why they're called Greek letter organization, because the teachings come from Greece, because who do they have to go to get the knowledge? Who do they have to go to get the knowledge? Well, it's Greece. Greece took their knowledge, and Greece held their knowledge captive. So now I have to go back to Greece and get it. That's why a black organization is called a Greek-led organization. Does that make sense? The person who took your history, the person who destroyed your history, you want to plaster over your chest and walk proudly, I'm in a Greek-led organization. Yes, you are going back into slavery. I am a slave, and I'm proud. Greek-led organization, my history, slavery, and the destruction of my culture. Yes, I'm proud of this. So, the bowl is a Greek word. The bowl were actually citizens of a council of citizens in Greek, which were advisors to the king. Okay, so now they're calling themselves the bowl. Now, who's their king? Okay, let's let the Bible tell us who their king is. In Revelations 9, verse 11 to 12, it says, "And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit." Who's the angel of the bottomless pit? Satan. Okay. "Whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon. One woe is past, and behold, there are two woes more hereafter." So the names of Satan is in the Hebrew is Abaddon, but in the Greek is Apollyon. So now we go to the Masonic source. We go to the people of Masonry telling them themselves. There's nothing here that I'm telling you of myself. I have not given you my belief. I've given you all quotes. And here is the quote that sums it up, that proves the Bible to be true. "In the 17th degree of the Scottish Rite, the sacred word communicated to the candidate is Abaddon. In the Satanic Bible by Anton LaVey on page 145 to 146, Abaddon and Apollyon are the infernal names in Satanism." So who is their king? Satan. The Bible tells you who their king is. The Bible tells you that secret societies are not something that you're supposed to be in. So when somebody says, "Oh, we're based off Christian beliefs," you know that it's not based off of Christian beliefs. So the bowl, which is the first black fraternity, their king is, they're literally saying, "My king is Satan." Remember the symbol of Babylon that was on the gates? That's the symbol. Now, let me show you something interesting. Now, the people that they get into these organizations, some of them go through fraternities. The bowl is, well, it is a fraternity. Sometimes the bowl can be used as a fraternity for people who don't go to college. Now, that symbol, it means that they're guarding the secrets with the people who are guarding the secret, like the circles are the people who are guarding the secret, and the circle in the middle is the actual secret. So they're sticking up for the Caucasian part of Masonry who has the secrets. Okay, so we're going to see something interesting here. Now, remember I told you that the black people have to give up, have to sell out their own people, and they have to get into the organization, and then they lead their people. Who's that? Well, that's LeBron James. What is the symbol on his chest? That's the symbol on his chest. That's the symbol on LeBron James' chest. Now, what they do is they take these black individuals who have knowledge, or who have high intellectual skill, or who have great physical skill, and they put them in front of you and say, "Hey, buy my sneakers." But who owns Nike? The white man. The white man owns Nike. So he gets he got $90 million for his Nike deal. How much do you think Nike got for people buying his sneakers? $1 gazillion. Far more than he will ever be able to see in his life. That's what Nike got. Does anybody know what the symbol of Nike represents? Nike's a god, actually. And on her statue, she was always in a check-like form. So that's why they have the swoosh check. So when you're going after Jordans and you're standing online for 3 days to get Jordans, and then you pay $500 for Jordans, and then you walk out the store, someone shoots you and takes your Jordans, you know that's idolatry? That's why we have a just reform message that we don't seem to follow. But that's how they care about us. That's how much they care about us. Do you know that they put Kobe Bryant in these commercials, and these commercials are riddled with occultism? Do you know that the symbol for Kobe is Baphomet? That Kobe system, that's Baphomet. Yes, it's Baphomet. His symbol is the black mamba. Who's the snake that he's representing? Satan. His symbol, The Eddie Long symbol, that little symbol that you see with the broken parts, yeah, that's when you put the circle around it, that's the face of Baphomet. That's the face of Satan. That's his symbol. When you watch the commercials for the Kobe system, you see him, his head is covering his right eye, showing the left eye to show the eye of Horus. He has a triangle with an illuminated tip to show the success part of the Kobe system. Do you know when that tip meets the pyramid that Satan's Satan's kingdom has come? That's what it means. So he's telling you without you even knowing that Satan's system has come. Satan's kingdom has come. But that's what they do. They put them before us. We give them all our monies, and then the other people are happy. They get a little money, but they don't care about you. You think Michael Jordan cares that people are dying over his sneakers? No. He's just going to keep on getting money for his sneakers and keep on putting up the same sneaker. And everybody, oh man, the sneaker I bought last month is coming out again. I got to go get it. And they stay online, and then they get it. They worship these sneakers. People kill and whatever. All right, so from the bowl, we have the creation of the other black fraternities. Now, these fraternities have gods over them. Now, Sigma Phi Phi, which is the bowl, had the god, the Sphinx. They call it the Sphinx. Alpha Phi Alpha represented Osiris, or Ra, or God, or not God. Alpha Kappa Alpha represented Nefertiti, or Katesh. Kappa Alpha Psi represented Apollos, or Thoth. Omega Phi Psi represents Anubis, or in the Roman Geni. Delta Sigma Theta represents Isis in the Babylonian, or in the Greece, Athena. Delta Sigma Theta represents, Phi Beta Sigma represents the Horus. Zeta Phi Beta represents Bastet. Sigma Gamma Rho represents Mat. And Iota Phi Theta represents Min. The 9 gods that the 9 prominent Egyptian gods that we read about before, that the white side of Masonry initiated and gave, and now we took, and we were given the authority to make our own organizations, and we had to follow off the same principles that they followed off of. Now, from their own mouths, again, not my own quotes, founders of the 9 black Greek fraternities and sororities were Freemasons and Eastern Stars. Alpha Phi Alpha's first initiation was held in a Masonic lodge. Now, this guy's, his name is Robert Terrell. His wife's, he was a Prince Hall Freemason. He's one of the first judges that was able to hold office. He had a wife. His wife is an Eastern Star. His wife's name is Mary Church Terrell. For the Delta Sigma Theta sorority, she took her husband's practices and incorporated it into Delta Sigma Theta. Now, I did this at my church, and there was somebody who was in Delta, and she got so angry at what it was that I said. Now, when you touch somebody's idol, they get very, very, very angry. So when you give this message to them, make sure that you try to give it to them in love. So, Delta Sigma Theta, for all the women who want to be Delta and proud women who throw up their eyes of Horus all the time, but say, oh, it's not that eye of Horus. It's something. It means something else. It doesn't mean anything else. I can't take something dirty and make it clean. I can't take Satanism and make it Christianity. So again, it's riddled in Masonry. Now, as we finish, we have to put these things to the test. We have to put these organizations to the test. If you go to these schools, you have to look at the Bible and say, how do their precepts compare to what it is that I believe? Now, the Bible says in Thessalonians 5, verse 21 to 22, prove all things, hold fast to that which is good, abstain from all appearances of evil. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to let them say their oaths, and then we're going to see what the Bible has to say about it. But as I said, why some are deceived? Many don't know their Bible. So even if they wanted to compare it to God, whatever God has for you, many people sit down and pray, God, show me the way, show me, speak to me. How do I know what it is I'm supposed to do? But they don't pick up the Bible, which is the way that God speaks to you. So they're not going to find out. So, again, when I told you in Masonry, you have to remove Christ and denounce Christ. You have to break the law, and when you break the law, you get secret knowledge, and then you're elevated into you're elevated as a god on campus. It says Alpha Phi Alpha. Now, this is what the Bible says. I, therefore, the prisoner of the Lord, beseech you that you walk worthy of the vocation wherewith you were called. Alpha Phi Alpha says, I, therefore, beseech you, brother, that you walk worthy of the vocation that you wherewith you were called, which is the vocation that Alpha Phi Alpha tells you that you were supposed to go by. Not what God tells you. The Bible says you're supposed to go by. So again, you're glorifying man. You're actually blaspheming Christ and denouncing Christ by blaspheming his word, actually. All right, and you're elevated into a God status by breaking the law. This is another rite of passage for the alphas. On the international level, the Fraternities has recently constructed the World Policy Council in order to lobby on Capitol Hill on behalf of African Americans and people of color. It is clear why Alpha Phi Alpha is the light of the world. Does anybody get that? Who's the light of the world? Okay. It says, I am the master of my fate, I am the captain of my soul. Is that true? Am I my own God? No, you're not. Again, you have to denounce the law of God so that you can get this knowledge and be elevated to godhood. Here we have another one. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishment the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. But God says, enter in at the straight gate. So you see how you have to throw away the law of God to get into these organizations? For the Omegas, it says, every loyal son of Omega, who be ye that dareth to intrude upon the sanctity, peace, and quietude of Omega, their implicit confidence in Omega, Omega oaths. Let's see, it also says, then Omega says, without faith, it is also impossible to please man. That's not true. The Bible says something different. In Hebrews 11, verse 6, it says, but without faith, it is impossible to please him, for he that cometh to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. So you see how they're debasing and it just goes on and on and on. Then we have, you're not supposed to have any cuttings in your flesh. You're not supposed to get tattoos. You're not supposed to get branded. You're not supposed to wear piercings. And here some of them are engraving their flesh with the symbol of their fraternity. Now, what that opens you up to is demonic possession. First, when you make an oath to this organization, you're swearing allegiance to this organization, which is swearing allegiance to the God of this organization. And then you're making a cutting in your flesh for this God. That opens you up to demonic possession. All right, it just goes on and on and on and on and on. You get the picture. That is riddled in masonry. It's riddled in something that is not what we're supposed to be into. And who's the head of it? The papacy is the head of it. Who's the head of them? Satan. Now, what this causes you to do when you get into these organizations and you're brainwashed from believing the word of God that you were first given, when the time of trouble comes, you will not stand for God. Sister White said that these people will not be able to make reasonable decisions for themselves, and they will not be saved. They cannot be saved. So, if this is something that you're going to get into, you're throwing away your salvation. You can see in the TV that all these black guys that have sold out their people just so that they can make money and live as gods. You see all these so-called preachers. Eddie Long could be a great preacher. T.D. Jakes is one of the most amazing preachers I've ever seen, but he preaches so much falsehood and deception to his people. Why? So he can get some money and live like a god and know secret knowledge and talk to presidents. But this is what we need. Yes. In the entertainment, in the entertainment world, there's two sets: those who know and those who don't know. Those who know and those who don't know. I can tell you that I'm pretty sure Jay-Z knows what he's doing. I'm pretty sure Beyonce knows what she's doing. They know what they're doing, but there's other people, like younger people who get into the music industry or who get into acting and stuff like that, who don't know what's going on, but yet they're still pushing the agenda unknowingly. That's why God says that we suffer for the lack of knowledge. Yes. Mm-hmm. Well, God definitely spoke to you. They're probably some kind of knighted organization. It's definitely Masonic, and most areas where money is, when you get to the high heights of it, that's where masonry lives. In Manhattan, all those financial buildings, at the very top of it, you have, you see, like they always have, the tip of it is always like this. That's where most of their lodges are. Yes.
What about the star on like flags, like the Chinese flag and the American flag? Is that like Osiris worship or whatever?
I'm not really sure about that. I'll look that up for you, and then if you stay in contact, I can get you that information. So any other questions? Oh, you want to end now? Get out of here. Any other questions? Yes, he's a 33rd degree Freemason. Yes, they're 33rd degree Freemasons. Yeah, I'm sorry to say, they were good presidents. They're good presidents, but while they were doing good deeds, they were behind the scenes doing bad deeds. They're doing a lot of bad deeds. President Obama's finishing up the concentration camps, the funding of the concentration camps, which Halliburton was funding. Who's the vice president when Bush was president? Dick Cheney, yes, his organization, his false organization that was funneling money to go to that. They're building concentration camps for us for the time of tribulation. So they have coffins set up for us and everything. Oh, all presidents have to do that. They get their order. When they're elected, they go to the Vatican, they get their orders, and they come back and they execute it. Yes.
And it was not taught to us as a Christian organization. It was a public service organization. And so I know that all of the friends that I had that joined, we joined for the public service piece of it. I don't even remember like some of the things that, you know, what you said there was oaths or whatever. I don't remember that because I'm 28 years removed from that now. And I have never been active in the chapter since I left college. But one of the things that I want to say is that it may not come to you as, you know, this is a Christian organization. It may come to you as this is a public service organization. And at that level, you have no idea about, like, when I became a Christian, I stopped being part of it just because I was told about the Secret Service thing, but I mean, secret organizations, but never about any details about it. But just to be on the safe side,
you stepped to the side.
I wasn't involved, but I think that, I know that no one on that level knows anything above that.
Yeah.
That we're there, we're doing public service, we're doing all this community service stuff, and we're raising funds and we're having a good time, and that's it. Was like the level of it. But like you said, you get higher, you don't know. I mean, a friend of mine still is a active member in the chapter, and I know what she says, she always puts it on her resume because the minute you walk in and they see that on there, you know that you're going to get that job. If there's another sorority member there, because it gives you that clout. But
Shh. We're going to bring it to a close soon.
Wait, men don't leave. I need you. Men don't leave. Don't leave. Men don't leave.
Yeah, we need to bring it to a close soon, so I'm going to answer 3 more questions. Two more questions. You and then you.